Hello, Andrew yet again, and this is episode 55. So, we're continuing in our series on Matthew's Gospel. We're in Holy Week. Jesus has cleansed the temple. He's had his triumphal entry, cleansed the temple. He's gone the night to Bethany. On his way in the morning, he's cursed the fig tree and it's withered and died. And now he's about to enter the temple again. So we pick the narrative up at Matthew chapter 21, verses 23 through to 27. When he entered the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came to Jesus as he was teaching and said, "By what authority are you doing these things, and who gave you this authority?" Jesus said to them, "I will also ask you one question. If you tell me the answer, then I'll also tell you by what authority I do these things. Did the baptism of John come from heaven, or was it of human origin?" And they argued with one another, saying, "If we say from heaven, he'll say to us, 'Why then did you not believe him?' But if we say of human origin, we're afraid of the crowd, for all regard John as a prophet." So they answered Jesus, "We do not know." And he said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I'm doing these things." My immediate reaction has always been, Jesus has been a little bit naughty. Why not just answer their question? But on deeper reflection, I've realised that Jesus would have been a very good chess player. He knows what's behind the question, and he's anticipating quite a number of moves ahead and where this is likely to go. And so he wants to stay ahead of the game. We discover that Jesus is not simply being evasive, which it looks like on the surface if we just stick to this little text. As I say, it's the impression we could get if we stuck to this passage alone. But when we look at what follows, Jesus is really taking it to them. He's not backing away at all. He's actually really asking them the hard questions. What starts as a simple question on their part, Jesus turns into an examination of their motivations, their lust for power, for securing it, for holding on to it, and for their departure from the central calling of their lives as stewards of the faith, of facilitating access for all to the God of Israel through the temple. They ask a simple question. By what authority are you doing these things, and who gave you this authority? What things might they be? Well, I imagine the first thing will be driving out the merchants and the money changers, all these people doing God's work and making it easier to fulfill the law's requirements and how to worship God. Who gave you authority to do that? And your supposed miracles, well, we'll skip over that, but who gave you the authority to take up space in these holy precincts to hold court with your uneducated views? They were surely sure it wasn't one of them who'd given Jesus this authority. And they would have been the appropriate ones to ask. They were the keepers of the temple precincts. This was their job. It was their job to steward the resources there. They'd have also been confident that it wasn't the military Roman authorities who gave them permission. They would have been concerned to keep the religious scene as peaceful as possible, knowing that this is one thing that could really stir the people up, and that would be something the Romans would want to avoid at all costs. And if he should play the God card, they're thinking, well, we've got him. Who does he think he is? The trial will begin. This for them is one of those gotcha questions, knowing that Jesus cannot give an answer that isn't going to escalate things. So at first glance, it looks like Jesus is simply avoiding answering the question, recognizing the trap that it contains. Yet as we move deeper into the conversation, we recognize that he is in fact answering it clearly and unequivocally and calling them out on their lack of spiritual leadership of the nation. More of that in the next couple of episodes, I say, because this is the first of a few. So Jesus simply turns the question around and at the same time reframes it, tightening it up as he goes. He asks the real question, the only question that matters. Where is God in this? You're the ones who see yourselves as the gatekeepers on access to God, though really you should be the ones who are holding the gates wide open and inviting people in. This is effectively what Jesus is saying. John the Baptist then, by what authority did he do his work? Was it from God, or did he do it off his own bat? Give me your clear answer to that question, because it's the same question you're asking me, and I'll give you my answer. They apparently got into a holy huddle to discuss the question, quickly realising that they were caught, hoist on their own petard, as one might have said in years gone by. The question they used to trap Jesus has now ensnared them. The answer they would have liked to give would probably have been clear. John was a troublemaker and a nutcase. The problem with that was that the people believed him to have been a prophet sent by God, and pushing against this would have been costly for them. They are now trapped in their own question, so they duck. We don't know. Okay, says Jesus. When you do, let me know, and I'll give you my answer. But he doesn't stop there, as we'll see. He calls them on their hypocrisy, on their failure to fulfill their holy calling as evangelists for the ways of God, and rather being roadblocks to people coming to God. It's a little uncomfortable. We too. How much energy do we give to protecting our ways of thinking, our ways of believing, our ways of doing, our ways of justifying our lifestyles, our ways of acting as though we are the favoured ones, that God has invested in us authority that is clearly lacking in those who don't see as we see, believe as we believe, practice as we practice, that we are in fact God's elite. And this is what these leaders believed, that we have a sense of entitlement because God has chosen and called us above all others, blessed and anointed us above all others, a means to protect us and our way of life above all others. It sounds very contemporary. And if we're honest, it's a mirror picturing a lot of what we hold in ourselves. Let's see what happens next, or in the next episode. God bless you.